Okay, namaste, great morning. Oh, today is June 6th. And so I just wanted to start out by saying thank you to my most generous donor, that you have restored my faith in mankind, that eventually somebody would give back for the teachings. So, needless to say, I was very much in shock when that donation came in. But thank you so much. Now, onwards with the teachings. I've been asked a question here, and so I'm just going to go read it. Many people have glimpses of non-duality, but very few reach the effortless Sahaj state. Can you please talk in detail about rerouting of mind, how to prevent it? What is the crucial window period when mind cannot return, settling stabilization period? And you had said that when things start deconstructing, that is the most crucial part. What are the important pointings at this phase and precautions? Please elaborate on this. You had said Siddhananda is almost there, but what are the last barriers? And when can it be said process completely done? What is the litmus test? Okay, well, there's no litmus test. It's not like you can say, oh, you can look at a person and you can tell. Okay? Really, you have to understand that consciousness and live in that consciousness and spend time with them and speak with them to find out exactly really where it is. Okay? So, again, there's no litmus test. The litmus test is, again, and it's very hard unless you know the person to determine. But the litmus test is when there is absolutely still mind. Okay? That's pretty simple. Absolute still mind. There are no thoughts occluding anything. Literally here, I do not hear thoughts. I do not see thoughts. I do not see visual things when you are thinking, when somebody is thinking. It's just clarity, okay? So, that it ends and it's blown out and it doesn't come back, okay? But there's nothing exterior that somebody can judge to see that, okay? I wish there were. I wish you say that all of a sudden there'll be a great light around them and that everybody will see, or you'll float off the ground, or, But no. And there's no litmus test like, oh, they'll suddenly be very meditative, or they'll be quiet, or they'll be this, or they'll be that. No. You look at ones like Kabir. He was very fiery. Nisargadatta, very fiery. He still sold bidi, cigarettes, lived a householder's life. He was very caustic. And then you look at Ramana, where he was very gentle for the most part and, just exuded this. Okay? So it's everything in between. It's consciousness that changes, not the outer life. The outer life doesn't change. It's consciousness that changes, goes through the radical shift. Okay. So, how to stabilize when everything falls away? Really, I keep telling people, when everything's fallen away, you immerse yourself in the Ashtavakra Gita or the Vivek Chudamani. And they will tell you, and I tell them also, don't chase and try to box this in. Don't try to analyze it. Because the minute you try to analyze it, you're separating yourself into duality. To analyze something, you have to step back away from a subject. You make it a subject. Okay? So you don't want to step back and make it a subject. You'll want to do that to try to figure out what's going on, but you don't want to do that, because that pulls you right back into duality at that point. Okay? So you have to continue to let that last little threads of mind play burn itself out. It's like a wheel that's spinning, and you cut the power. Well, okay, it continues for a little while, but slows down and stops. Okay, so again, you immerse yourself in Vivek Chudamani or Ashtavakra Gita, which will continue to tell you, do not let this reroute, do not chase thought, do not, all of these admonitions, which just keep throwing it back on itself. It keeps throwing that mind back in on itself, where it continues to stay still rather than looking outward, projecting outward again, into dualistic drama. Okay. So, what was the other part of that question? What happens when things start deconstructing? Okay. If you are in the midst of Kundalini awakening and things start deconstructing, you will have a lot of dreams of buildings exploding, imploding, mountains exploding, things like that. Things that are objects just start to crumble. Okay? So that is a lot of times indicative of that type of process that's starting. All of these things, stable things, will just start, deconstructing, blowing up, or falling apart, or, Okay, all of those things happen. Again, part of it is one second you'll feel like you're in your body, next second you're out, you're watching, you'll do witness state, like you're watching yourself and can comment on an action as it's happening, like it's happening to someone else. So first you have that witness state where there's that buffer zone. And then one gets drawn into that death before death experience. Okay? So when that death before death comes, it really feels like you are dying or you're going to be possessed, and you don't know what's going to happen, but it feels like the end, extinction. It's very terrifying when that part comes up. And you have to want truth and God enough that you're willing to surrender into that and have the faith that God's going to pull one through. Okay? That's where it takes absolute, complete, total faith to surrender into that, because it can be very terrifying. Okay? And in a second instant, everything just shifts. It's like, boom, the minute you go into that, okay, all of a sudden you see that this God essence, divine is, 0 point balance, again, more real than anything in this plane that you can feel or touch. More substance even though it has no substance. More reality. And there's no way to explain this to somebody, how something which is unseen, which is spirit, has more reality than the seen world. But it just absolutely does. And it's the beginning and the end of existence. It runs like a thread. It's eternal in nature, and nothing can touch it. It powers, it gives life to everything, but nothing can touch it. It's always pure, always unborn, always untouched. Okay? So it's immediately that, like, all the concepts that you have held throughout centuries are gone in an instant. Okay? Everything has been challenged, and it's like what you think you know about existence is forever changed. It's like, boom. And then if you come out of it, you come back to awareness. In the Nirvikalpa, you're out. You're not seeing any of the dualistic world. You're in another plane. Okay, you're just somewhere else. Okay, so when you come back and the eyes open, you'll register, the eyes will register duality. But if you've stayed in the heart and you have, surrendered fully, even though the eyes are seeing objects and they're seeing division. You don't feel like there is any division any longer. It's not there. It's like these are like a film. It's a film. It's something on a screen. You see the visual, but you know it doesn't have that reality. Okay? So again, it's a whole shift of consciousness that takes place. A total shift of consciousness. Okay? And at that point, if one doesn't question, one doesn't analyze, one doesn't go back into the mind, okay, and try to take back this meism, because you find out when everything implodes, I don't exist and I have never existed. The only thing that exists is this divine is. There is no more connection of a me and an I, you know, as subject-object any longer. You know, that illusion of persona, attachment to form as a separation ends. Okay, that ends. So again, at that point, one just stays in that awareness, that living reality of that divine is, and doesn't question, you know. It's like when I came out, my guru asks, and he says, you know, let me see if I can remember exactly what it was that he said. Do you believe? Not do you believe in it. I want to get the wording just right, what it was. Because I told about what had happened. And I said, this is not a belief. This is not in order to believe, you have to have doubt somewhere. And in this, there's no doubt. There is no doubt with what's there. It's point blank is, you know, it's, you know, to have a belief and, you know, or to think it's real, you have to have some doubt somewhere. But when this takes place, there is no doubt. I mean, it's absolute concrete fact. Okay? It's not a belief system. It's not a, you know, not an experience that one goes into and then comes out of. For some, I guess it could be an experience if they come out of it and then mind reroutes. They go back to trying to analyze, trying to, you know, talk about it, trying to, but the thing is just to still allow it to settle, just still. Okay? Just stay still. And don't try to judge, don't try to analyze, don't try to figure it out, don't try to put it in place, don't try to, you know, this is why you don't speak of it for quite a while. And you stay in silence. Okay, you stay in silence. Because all of a sudden, you know, it takes a long time when you come out of it again to be able to say I and me and these type of things. It's at that point, that feels so foreign. You don't say that because it's not the reality of what is being experienced. When coming out of it, this one, I would always refer to things as this one, because I feels as if it's a separation. Okay, so it's not that one is trying to be elevated or trying to put on airs or something like that. It's just what's natural. To come back to speaking with others, to be able to communicate that way, it takes time to, you know, and it feels so fake to start to use those terms again. Me, I, my, those things feel very fake, okay? Because it's not part of your consciousness. Okay, but when one walks around talking in the third person, people look at you like, what's wrong with you, you know? So again, it takes time to settle. It can take a number of years to finally fully settle into that stillness, that, where nothing comes and goes. Okay. So I hope this has answered your question to some degree. Again, these kind of questions asking is, I don't know what it's going to benefit anyone, really, because it's not something that can be understood, or what do they say, grokked? It's not something, grokked, such a weird word. It can't be understood intellectually. It has to be a direct experience. It's like the Ashtavakra and the Vivekchudamani. If you read it intellectually, then you try to sit and figure it out. But when one has had that experience, that living reality, it's your living reality of non-duality. It's like, yes, 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 because it is your reality. Therefore, it's yes, yes, yes. That's my guru said, oh, what you're talking is the Ashtavakra. What's an Ashtavakra? I had no idea what non-duality and those types of things, I had no idea what he was. That's the Ashtavakra. What you're talking is the Ashtavakra. So I went and got the Ashtavakra, and it was like, yes, 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 this is it, yes, yes, yes. Because it's, again, your living reality. So it's not something intellectually you're trying to figure out, well, what is this, how is this, So that's why I say you immerse in the Ashtavakra, or you immerse in the Vivekchudamani, because these are non-dual texts, and if the one has deconstructed into that is that living, dynamic, non-dual, then again you go into that and just go, yes, 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 yes. Okay. So again, hopefully this has answered some of your questions, and namaste. Have a great day, everyone, and continue your journeys forward. It is worth it. You go through hell. You go through hell first. You can go through the dark night of the soul. Some points in the journey, you don't know if you can take another breath. You are praying for death. I mean, there were times I was praying for death literally because it was so difficult. It was so painful. Okay. So again, you have to just continue. It doesn't matter what is coming up in your face, whether you are having to walk through all the fear dynamic, you're having to confront terror, you're having to confront whether this is real or if it's not real. What is the form? What is it not? These are passages one goes through along the way. It's not easy. This is not a path for everyone. I say if you haven't done heavy, deep spiritual things and haven't had heavy, deep spiritual experience, this is not the type of a path you begin with. This is the deep water, okay? You don't just start out, as a kindergartner and go off the high dive. That would be insanity, okay? So this type of path is only for those that want to know truth beyond everything. They've done experiences. They're willing to let go. This is for people that are so dissatisfied with the world. They want nothing to do with it. I'm done with it. I want nothing to do with it. All it is suffering, is pain, it's this. Then you're willing to go through the death before death. If you've got it relatively well here, when that experience comes up, and you might lose what you have, that ego self, because people say they want realization, but when it comes, they just want to get better. I want to gather and collect more. I want to have more power. I want to have more control. I want to have this. I. If you're in that mindset, then you are not ready for realization. You're not ready to go through that death. You're not ready to challenge ego and go beyond that and cut the head of all those thoughts and all those dramas. You're not ready. Okay? That's simply the truth of it. Okay? This is for someone that is absolutely done with the world, and, you know, really, at that point, you don't want to be in the world. But then when you finish, you see it's the play of God. You've gone like 180 degrees. 180 degrees. Okay? So namaste. Have a great day, everyone.